So suppose you see your favorite fitness and nutrition experts stuffing his face with cheese, bacon, avocado, and butter. They definitely have abs. They look good, they look like they feel good, so you think, damn it, this keto must be strong, I should try it. Without much research, you go and buy into your avocados, eggs, and bacon. You go low carb for a week, so you start feeling dizzy, weak, fatigued. Exercise performance suffers, you get cramps and constipation, so you start to question, is really this low-carb high-fat diet any good? Can eating avocados, eggs, Greek yogurt, and nuts make you a superhuman? Well, today we're about to clear a few things out. So what is a low-carb high-fat diet? As the name suggests, a diet that's low in carb and high in fats. Now, usually you'd have typically 60% or so of all your calories coming from carbs, and low-carb high-fat diet asks you to get around 25% of your total calories from carbohydrates, 20 to 30% from protein, and the other 45 to 55% from fat. Now be aware, when you go low carb and high fat, it's very easy to overdo the calories because each fat contains 9 kilocalories per gram of fat and each protein and carbohydrate gram contains 4. One very important thing to clarify is the nature of anabolism versus catabolism between the low carb high fat and high carb low fat diets. So usually when you're going on a high carb diet, that's going to result in more pronounced anabolism. You're going to increase your insulin, you're going to increase your testosterone, and if you overdo the sugars, there's going to be an accumulation of fat because glucose can be turned to fat. But generally, for maximal exercise or strength performance or for gaining muscle, this diet, high carb, is going to be superior to low carb no matter what. Now on the other side, the catabolic nature of low carb high fat diets or ketogenic or intermittent fasting or carnivore type of diets, this has other benefits. Now specifically talking about reducing your carbohydrate, you can maybe reset and improve your insulin sensitivity, and this catabolism gives you sort of an internal detox. It increases fat mobilization so you can lose fat in a better way, you can detox, you can improve your cognitive function. It's basically similar effects to what fasting has to offer. The point is, neither diet is superior, it's just low carbs are more catabolic in nature, which are good for one thing, and high carb are anabolic in nature, which are good for other things like building muscle. Okay, to share a little bit about my story, so I went from eating very high carb diet, around 300 grams plus carbohydrates when I was training for like most of my life, to now eating moderate to low carbohydrate. So my intake of carbs is around 100 to 150 grams, so I'm nowhere near ketogenic diet, but I definitely have excluded all refined and processed sugars, and I definitely have limited or reduced the carbohydrate intake. So currently I can say that I'm not really doing this forever. I'm just trying out for 3 to 4 months because I have some goals in mind. The first thing that I saw was food cravings, especially for chocolate or sugary things, just went away very fast. And the fat mobilization was there. There is some noticeable fat loss, but I think it's because of my caloric deficit. I eat a little bit less than I used to. I eat definitely less than I burn. That's why I think there's mobilization of fat. And I actually feel a little bit more mentally alert, and I have that clarity, and I don't really experience a bunch of sugar drops or energy drop and need to eat all the time. So what are the benefits of low carb high fat diet then? Well, first is there's a potential of hitting the reset button on your insulin sensitivity, which may improve your insulin resistance and be a little bit better at utilization of glucose and controlling blood sugar levels. This can lead to less oxidative stress, oxidative damage, and less chronic inflammation, especially if you eat healthy, high fatty foods like avocados and salmons and walnuts and eggs, because these have these omega-3 fatty acids and other healthy fats which are very potent antioxidants, meaning they can reduce inflammation overall in the body. Also, these healthy fats support your brain health, your cognitive function, and in general, lower sugar intake can lead to less oxidative damage and inflammation in the body. First thing is weight loss. Now when it comes to weight loss, the basic thing is that if you eat less calories than you burn, which means you're in a caloric deficit, you're going to lose weight. and this holds true even here. But what happens when you're on a ketogenic or low carb diet is your body in a sugar starvation mode can get to use all of that fat and mobilize that fat and then oxidize it to use it as a source of energy. So you're actually burning up your own fat to produce energy. Now, also lower intake of carbohydrates will leave less glucose to be converted into fat and triglycerides. And the next thing why ketogenic or low carb diet can be very efficient is because there's a combination of potentially improving insulin sensitivity, suppressing appetite, and even improving fat mobilization. Now, it is important to say that the first 1 or 2 weeks on a low carb diet is mainly going to be water loss. So you're not going to be actually losing fat, but you're going to lose a lot of that water and salt stored in the glycogen in your body. While low carb, high fat, or keto aren't superior to high carb diets in the long run for weight loss, they're superior in the short term. This is because low carb is one of the best ways to hit the reset button in our sugar-rich world, which can influence many factors like better insulin sensitivity, reduced hunger and cravings, higher fat mobilization for energy, etc. that will help you lose weight afterwards. Research suggests that a low carbohydrate diet was associated with greater reductions in body weight and improvement in body composition, while a low-fat diet was not associated with weight loss. Number 2, high-fat, low-carb diet can reduce cravings and improve satiety. So the thing is, when you're in a sugar starvation mode, your body uses fats. When you eat a lot of fat, the gastric emptying in your digestive system is inhibited. This happens like if you think on a primal level, when you eat more fats, not that you just have more calories, but those fats can give you energy that lasts longer. So your satiety is improved and your appetite is lower. This sort of gives your body a signal of safety that you can last longer without foods, which isn't the case with carbohydrates, because if you're eating a lot of glucose, you're going to need to refill that glucose for energy, otherwise you're going to drop. Point is, high fat and low carb diet can control appetite in a better way by controlling the secretion of certain appetite hormones like ghrelin, and it can make you fuller for longer duration. One of the major changes I've noticed with going low carb, high fat is my sugar cravings at night. That totally disappeared. Chocolate bars and sugar loaded meals became less attractive. I can easily see people eating chocolate without getting a drip of saliva now. Finally. Number 3, it may improve insulin sensitivity. When you have very high intake of sugar and you're used to sugar, there is a glucose spike in your blood after eating a high carb meal. Then there is an insulin spike to get that sugar in tissues. Now, if you overdo this long enough for 40, 50, 60 years, you get to develop things called type 2 diabetes or even become overweight and develop obesity. What happens here is it's called insulin resistance. Basically, your body partially can't recognize your tissues like muscles and liver, etc. cannot recognize the insulin that wants to shove sugar inside of them. And also your pancreas can get fatigued. The beta cells in your pancreas which secrete insulin can become fatigued and can secrete less insulin. So overall you're less of a sugar shoving into your tissue kind of machine, and you are not that good in controlling sugar levels, which can cause very high spikes of glucose and insulin up and down, and these spikes and this increased glycemic variability can be detrimental for metabolic health. But instead, when you go on fats, you can shift your metabolism to use fat for energy, and this will leave some time for insulin reset and potentially reduce the oxidative stress, which we'll talk about later, from carbs. Research shows the ketogenic diet was beneficial in people with type 2 diabetes. It reduces fasting blood glucose, decreased triglyceride levels and LDL cholesterol, improved glycemic and lipid control, plus it contributed to weight loss. Number 4, I think it's number 4, is keto or low carb diets can give you a stable energy all throughout if you're eating high quality fats. Now the thing is, when you eat a lot of glucose or sugar, you already heard glucose spikes and glucose drops, right? When it drops, you lose energy and you need a refill of glucose. Keto gives you a different type of energy. It's a little bit more stable, maintainable, and longer type of energy, but it isn't so intense. So in terms of doing anaerobic type of activities like sprinting or weightlifting, keto is not going to be superior, nor low carb will. High carb diets are best for this type of occasions, for this type of activities, because they're going to replenish glycogen. You can use this glycogen for getting the intense spike of energy up. On the other hand, if you're performing a low to moderate intensity activity for a longer duration, low carb and high fat may provide additional benefits for this. In terms of metabolism of fats, it is a bit more efficient than carbohydrates. Now, what I mean by this is that per every unit of oxygen that you use to create energy, each gram of fat is going to provide way more and longer sustainable energy than carbohydrates. The ketogenic or low-carb high-fat diet can improve control of energy. There are less energy crashes and necessary naps to take. The energy is lower at baseline, but it lasts longer. It is less of a roller coaster type of energy. There is no such need to jump and eat a lot of food, there is less cravings, and no sudden sugar drops. Number 5. Fat-fueled brains may be better at memory, alertness, and mental clarity. So this is where the low-carb diet may improve your cognitive function. The brain is made up of different types of fats. It's nearly 60% of fat, which is very essential for temperature regulation, hormone secretion, neurotransmitters, cognitive function, etc. Now, glucose is the primary source of the brain. You cannot function without glucose. That's why even the ketogenic diet are eating a little bit of glucose. Even if you don't eat glucose at all, your body's going to break it down from protein to give it to your brain because you need glucose. Glucose is primary source. Now, in people with Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or dementia or this type of stuff, they may have impaired use of glucose and utilization of glucose in the brain, hence why using fats for fuel, which happens on a low-carb or ketogenic diet, may provide additional benefit. Now, in general, even if you're young, burning fat in terms of brain fuel can make you a little bit more alert, give you a bit more mental clarity, and give you an energy that's a bit more sustainable. This is because fat-fueled brains who don't run on carbs continuously are better at removing excess glutamate, which can prevent hyperexcitation. In other words, this means you're going to be a bit less distracted and you're going to be a bit more focused for a longer duration of time without getting a bunch of drops and cravings and distractions. Research shows that in people with mild cognitive impairment, there was improved memory performance. Other mechanisms like lower brain inflammation and enhanced energy metabolism may contribute to the improvement in cognitive function. Number 6 is neuroprotection. As we age, our brain ages too. Oxidative stress and aging goes hand in hand. As we are loading our brains with sugar, we are causing high oxidative stress and potentially inflammation in the brain. Why? Because of the thing with fats and carbohydrate metabolism we said about metabolic efficiency. What this means is, per the unit of energy that you're producing, if you're using carbs for fuel, you're going to produce less reactive oxygen species and higher oxidative stress in the brain and the body overall. Meaning, if you shift your metabolism to run on fats, you're going to create less oxidative stress. Of course, if we're talking about healthy fats. Now, on the other hand, the bad fats, the trans fats, unhealthy ones, can even cause higher accumulation of plaque in the brain, which can lead to neurodegeneration and similar diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, etc. If you eat healthy fats like omega-3 rich fatty foods like salmon, walnuts, avocado, olive oil, these are very potent at fighting inflammation and oxidative stress. Also, many of the high-fat foods you're going to eat are containing different fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K, which are crucial for supporting your brain because fats are maintaining the structural integrity of your brain and nervous system too. Unsaturated fats like omega-3s can reduce inflammation and aid in neuroprotection. Fats are very important in mediating processes involved in learning, brain adaptation, neuroplasticity, and memory. Omega-3 fatty acids are neuroprotective, protecting the brain from oxidative stress and toxins, which may delay neurodegenerative diseases. Number 7 is potential reduction in oxidative stress. This goes hand in hand with the metabolic efficiency of carbs versus fats. Basically, when you're running on carbs, you're producing more free radicals and you have more oxidative damage. Now, if you can shift your metabolism to fat, especially get those healthy anti-inflammatory fats, you can potentially reduce this chronic inflammation and oxidative stress. Now, carbs aren't bad. It's just that excessive and refined sugars continuously over and over can definitely increase oxidative stress, especially if you're not working out regularly to get those carbs to replenish glycogen, etc. Also, many high-fat foods contain a lot of vitamin E and vitamin A, which are fat-soluble vitamins that are also potent antioxidants and can fight oxidative stress. Many fatty foods like avocados, walnuts, salmon, eggs, butter, Greek yogurt, or olive oil are rich in omega-3 fatty acids which have potent anti-inflammatory properties. Last but not least, improving cholesterol profile. Now, the usual sentiment is that if you eat fat, your cholesterol is going to get bad. But there's a few caveats to this. Of course, if you're eating a lot of trans fats and processed red meats and frozen, pre-cooked goodies and pastries and donuts and stuff, it's going to be detrimental for your cholesterol levels. However, usually going on a ketogenic diet with healthy fats or on a low-carb diet can improve your cholesterol profile. Mainly improving your cholesterol profile means increasing your HDL levels, reducing your LDL, and reducing your triglyceride levels. Now the thing is, the LDL is known as the bad cholesterol because it can oxidize faster and it can cause more damage, and it's not so efficient at transporting fat. HDL is higher density lipoprotein, which has more protein. It's more efficient at transporting fat and it can oxidize less quickly, so it takes longer time. Okay, now triglycerides is what you don't want to have too high levels of. When you start eating healthy fats, usually the levels of HDL go up, the levels of triglycerides go down because your body starts burning those triglycerides for energy. But the LDL thing is kind of not proven with studies because LDL levels can go up, it can be maintained at the same level, or it can go down with low-carb, high-fat or ketogenic diet. But general, based on research, if you go on a healthy fats type of diet and you reduce your amount of carbohydrates, the HDL shall go up, the triglycerides shall go down, and your LDL level should stay around the same or a little bit higher or lower. Based on these studies, it might be surmised that a keto diet can improve total cholesterol and HDL cholesterol. However, this diet may have no significant effect, or it may even increase LDL cholesterol levels. Now, it is important to not put this diet at a very high level and say it's superior to any other diet, because that's not the case. It's just if you understand the catabolic nature of low-carb, high-fat diet, there is a time and a place where this diet can actually help to hit the reset button, especially the reset button on insulin sensitivity, and to get your body to really use fats for fuel and to burn up all that sugar, to reduce oxidative stress, to reduce inflammation, etc. It's sort of a catabolic detox which can improve utilization of glucose for later. That's around it. You made it to the end. We have just 4 main points for the conclusion. The first is that low carbohydrate, high fat diet is not superior to high carb diet. Both are good, it's just for different things. The high carb diet will be better for sports performance, building muscle, and anabolic related stuff where you need more testosterone and insulin. On the other hand, in terms of fat loss and catabolism and detox and mental clarity and alertness and reducing oxidative stress and inflammation, the catabolic nature of low carb diets or ketogenic diets or intermittent fasting will come in handy. Second thing is that omega-3 on a low-carb, high-fat diet can definitely help reduce inflammation and oxidative stress. They can provide neuroprotection, they can promote alertness, they can support the brain, give it fuel, improve cognition, memory, alertness, etc. Third main point is the point about resetting your insulin sensitivity. And if low-carb diets, because you're not loaded up on sugar, can give insulin some time to recover and may improve insulin sensitivity and reduce the oxidative stress from carbs, it can, at least intermittently for a certain period of time, be beneficial for weight loss and better glucose utilization and blood sugar control later. This may improve also cholesterol profile and reduce the risks for getting metabolic related diseases like metabolic syndrome. The last one is that ketogenic or low carb diet is going to curb cravings, is going to make you want less sugar in general, but going very low on carbohydrates is very hard to maintain, especially for women who are having hormonal imbalances. The last pro of ketogenic or low carb diet is the catabolic nature and fat loss of this diet and its ability to curb cravings and make you satiated, make you control your appetite in a better way, not give you those sort of drops in energy or sugar. And it is important to remember it's not a sports performance diet.